How's it going? Chris Jenkins, credentialed member of the media covering the Carolina Panthers for Charlotte Vibe, a.k.a. Man of the People. And how did I get that name? Because I work for you guys. I love working for you, getting questions answered by coaches and players. And that's what tonight's show is about. All of our shows are live and interactive. We have two special guests that should be joining us tonight. If they don't come, just know that I don't just say somebody's coming if they didn't look me in the eye and tell me they were coming. So Brian Burns is set to join us tonight. And then Mike Kaye, new writer for the Charlotte Observer. They will join us. He will join us also as well tonight. And this show is 100% dedicated to working for you guys. So questions we're here for. Without further ado, let me bring in my co-host, my partner in crime, Andre Cassidy, a.k.a. We got to figure out some AKAs for you. do you have one that you can think of?
Not off the top of my head, but hey, that's for all the people in the comments. If you got a nickname for me that clicks, let's hear it, man. That is my homework assignment for all of you out there. But it is a pleasure to be here with you today, Chris, after a Panthers victory. Victory Monday, as they say.
Hey, sweet Carolina. You know I love you guys about to say. It felt good to hear that song yesterday, man. It felt good to win. It felt good to be in the locker room after a victory, even though I didn't catch the full excitement that was in that locker room. As I told you, by the time I got in there, it was 7 guys, maybe. I mean, it looked like a vacant place. I got a feeling the guys were like, it's time to go home and celebrate.
Well, and that was the vibe in the stadium, too. I mean, you felt the energy really reverberating all throughout every single corner of the stadium yesterday. And it was quite refreshing to see. And, you know, it was good to be able to witness another win because, to be honest with you, from some of the fans and what they've been saying, they didn't even know if we would win another game this season.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I still might have it. I was going to show that graphic about the people who picked the Carolina Panthers to not have a chance.
I mean, it was a clean sweep across the board. Literally every major outlet and every person of reason had Tampa Bay winning yesterday.
Which I get it. I understand. So let's go ahead and get into these comments, man. That's why we're here, to interact with you, to get your questions. We can certainly just be talking head, as they say in the industry, and just blah, blah, blah. But we want to blah, blah, blah to your questions, all right? So let me first go through some shout-outs here. I look tacky here with all my stuff just hanging. let me get this put on me correctly here.
And to just give you some behind the scenes, my man Chris was literally minutes away from, the start time, pulling in and getting everything ready. So he was working on the fly. So you got to give him some credit for actually showing up and getting everything situated with minutes to go before we had to go on and get ready and get live here.
Folks, that is Andre Cassidy securing his future spot as the vibe host.
But I'm telling the truth, though. I mean, let's be real.
You are telling the 1,000% truth. I'll be tempted to show you that I literally just called Brian Burns, but I don't want to expose other things that are on the phone right now, so I can't show that. But yes, literally doing what he just said, trying to get this together. But
right,
what's up, Bo? Appreciate you signing on and saying what's up to us. My man Ali Badrick is so consistent. Regular. So consistent. I appreciate it. We appreciate it very, very much. Ali, what was locker room like after the game? So yeah, I'll tell you my feeling. Andre doesn't go into the locker room because we're a 3-person staff on Sundays. And throughout the week, it's mostly just one.
Yeah.
Ideally, I really wouldn't mind being 4. Definitely 4 people, because it's just so many things that you got to do. Anyway, I'm not going to go off task. I was going to go off task. Let me bring it back.
Steer the ship, as they say.
So the vibe in the locker room, I didn't get too much of it because of the fact that by the time I got in there, so many people were gone. I could tell you literally I got a chance to say, like in passing, to DJ Moore, Eddie Pinheiro, Terrace Marshall, and Brian Burns. So those are guys that I kind of, I'll say, touched or communicated with in some kind of way quickly. And outside of those guys, it might have been 3 other guys in the locker room. So, but I've heard that it was fantastic. And hopefully we'll have Brian on shortly to support that.
Mm-hmm.
Tin Tizzy said, let's go.
Man, what's up, Tin Tizzy? Good to see you again tonight. He's another regular that I'm starting to notice around on the Charlotte Vibe broadcasts. So, yeah, it's definitely good to see you again, Tin Tizzy. Thanks for commenting and doing all the good things for us.
Yeah, he said this is pre-recorded, right? Nah, man.
Nah, we live, man.
Nah,
we
man.
are live as can be right now.
Yeah, you might hear my baby crying. You might, who knows what you're going to see me doing.
I mean, you might hear stuff in the background on my end too. I mean, hey, this is as live and as authentic as we can get right now. So definitely not pre-recorded.
What's going on, Rodney? Appreciate you very much. Estes, you want to read that?
Yeah, Brian Burns, my favorite current player. Let's go, and hopefully we'll have him on here shortly. I know he's been involved in a lot of trade rumors recently, but they're really standing firm on keeping him because he's one of those core guys, and I think a lot of people, a lot of fans want him to stay around because he means a lot to what this team wants to do.
Malcolm Gerard Smith, there's promise we may not be garbage. And, you know, along those lines, Steve Wilkes did not like the tanking talk. He let that be known in like his opening statement, and then he had a chance to respond to it, and he said, man, these guys, we got something to fight for. Those guys in that locker, I think he pointed. Well, you can't see me point because of the screen view, but no, he doesn't like that tanking talk. And we may not be garbage. Potentially, we have unraveled a group, and I say more so on the coaching staff side that may say, hey, well, we can trust PJ Walker. We can trust Terrace Marshall, and we can trust Deontay and Chuba, and we can do multiple things and maybe give ourselves a little bit better of a chance to win. AJ Lindsay, what's up, Chris and Andre?
What's going on, AJ? Thanks for tuning in. And to just piggyback off what Malcolm said, too, just look at the rest of the division, too. I mean, we're literally a game out from the first place spot in our division. Everybody is below 500 right now. So, I mean, we have a legit chance. It's just a matter of continuing to build off of what we did yesterday and not being complacent.
Yeah, that's right. And so, hey, I'm just going to be real with you. I got a feeling that Brian may miss because usually guys come on right away.
Yeah.
Or they forget completely and then they try to make it up. So what I will guarantee you is that we have Mike Kaye from the Charlotte Observer that is scheduled to be joining us at 7:30. So again, want you guys to please load up the comments with questions right now, and we will get to them.
Oh, and do you have that link for all the people who can come in and make their voices heard on here too?
So I'm not going to put the link up there yet because if Brian comes on, then we just want to give him the floor and we'll just take comments through comments, if you will. But once Mike comes on, then we'll put that link out there and give you all a chance to join us. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Andre. So yes, doing Brian Burns segment, if he's able to still make it on with us, just be leaving your comments or typing your comments for us to ask him. And then when Mike Kaye of the Charlotte Observer comes on, we'll let you actually do the video chat to come on. Let me actually kind of get that prepared right now.
Mm-hmm. Because, you know, that's one of the key things about doing this show today is to make sure that all of you have the opportunity to not only leave your comments on here, but to also make your voices heard. And that's part of the reason why we are here today, to make sure that you and all of you out there have that opportunity to be able to voice your opinion, win, loss, or tie. That's why we're here, to be objective and to give you, all of you out there, an outlet to just share what you're feeling, share what you're thinking about right now, commenting on what happened yesterday. There was a lot that took place yesterday and a lot of good things to take away from yesterday. So definitely do not hesitate to use that link when we make it available and comment as well.
Hey, I want you to continue to talk for a second because I'm looking for something.
Yeah, and as I'm looking through the comments here, I mean, really just a positive vibe that I'm getting here too. I mean, compared to last week, it seems a little more tame, calm, and laid back. I mean, and you know, that's the vibe that I got from basically everybody today. Not only was it a good day yesterday, it was also kind of just a shock. Like nobody expected for Tom Brady and that Tampa Bay offense to only score 3 points in yesterday's game. So I mean, it was a pleasant surprise. I can't say that I would have predicted that, because I think for Chris and for both of us, we didn't think that this would be the result that took place yesterday. But we touched on it earlier. It was a refreshing, cool, clean vibe that we got after yesterday's game, and a lot of energy around the city.
Yeah, and I'm glad you talked about the defense. On the way home yesterday, I don't feel like we talked about the defense enough. These guys only gave up 3 points. Very close
points. That's impressive.
Yeah, very close to a shutout, and I really don't feel like we talked about the defense enough yesterday. So if you guys got some questions on that, share them with us, and we should touch on them a little bit. Hey, just because I want to have a little moment of letting you guys know that, again, if Brian doesn't come, just probably something came up. I'm going to share with you this little video here from the last time Brian came on the show. And did I do it right?
Oh, we about to find out. Oh,
here we go.
So
this was a little bit of just a couple years ago. I'm just going to play a sample. YouTube, right. Twitter, and everything. How you doing, sir?
What's going on?
Hey, first of all, I want to say appreciate you coming on. I know it's been a little bit of a mission, or not even a mission, a journey. Because first I was going to. All right, so that was it seemed like a long time ago, but I say that because the technology,
Chris, you look the same, my guy. You do not age one bit. I mean, look at that. I mean, the only thing that I noticed was just the camera quality, because that was a couple of years ago. But my God, still looking the same, man. I'll tell you what, that is something to be proud of right there.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to talk about. It actually wasn't that long ago, but the camera quality, it was like choppy, and
yeah.
I was not at home. I was at the time my girlfriend's house, who is now my wife.
Okay.
And so she didn't have as good an internet as I have. So, but we made it work. That was during the pandemic.
Made it work, right?
That we were able to get Brian on before, and I think it was right around his birthday as well. But
all right.
Yeah, I would have let it play longer if it wasn't so choppy,
like fidgety, and everything too.
All right, let's tackle a few more of these. What's good, Andre? Says Rodney.
Good, Rodney. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for tuning in.
James, Fruit Trail, great win. Just started watching you about 3 weeks ago. Love the show. James, appreciate you. We've had a few hiccups because one thing that we are going through is that we're adding a lot of new things to our show and new technology. We don't have a group of 10 people that are dedicated IT, sound, audio. So we've had a few hiccups, but certainly appreciate you discovering us, appreciate your compliment, and hope that we can earn you continuing to be here as we entertain you, talking about the Carolina Panthers.
Absolutely. Jeremy Burns, victory Monday. And hey, that's the first time we could say it in 3 weeks. It feels good. It rolls off the tongue. Victory Monday. Tell you what, it was definitely a good day yesterday, and hopefully we can keep it going moving forward.
I think we got a nickname for you.
Oh, Tin Tizzy? Bruh. Yeah. You Cass. Let it go, fam. LOL. Just Cass.
Just Cass? I don't know if it needs to have a harder ending.
It's got to have a harder ending, and then also it's just got to be catchier than that.
Like Cass, like had.
I mean,
you have to have a little harder ending than an S.
I mean, it was a good try, but I don't know about that one. We'll see. I know there's definitely more potential out there with that, but hey, I appreciate the effort for that. Tin Tizzy. Shaquille. I'll tell you what, you were not saying that yesterday. Let me tell you that right now, Shaquille. A couple of days ago, you were saying, oh, man, we're thinking about the draft over here, thinking about what quarterbacks we were thinking about picking in the draft. And now you're over here saying Super Bowl, here we come. Hey, got to be optimistic. I'll appreciate, hey, we can be a little optimistic here, but we can't have both sides of the aisle here, one extreme compared to the next. But hey, I do appreciate you tuning in, Shakeed. You regular as always.
The roller coaster of Shakeed.
The roller coaster emotions of Shakeed. Jamal Feeks. I hope I said that right. Yes, good feeling to get a win. That is for sure. And it makes our jobs just a little bit easier because everybody's happy. Chris and I were talking about this yesterday. There were like at least, half a dozen camera crews on the field yesterday covering the Panthers, and everybody was upbeat, happy. And, compared to last week where there was nobody except us on the field, it was good to see that there were other people out there taking in the victory yesterday.
Chance Hodge, hey guys, very proud Panther fan here. Chance, appreciate you. I know you've been on here before. Yeah, you got to have, if you're a fan, that's on the optimist side, and you get that win yesterday. Some people may have that barbershop talk and get a little extra braggadocious because we beat Tom Brady, but it certainly wasn't the normal Tom Brady. It wasn't Tom Brady in its prime. Yeah. Certainly was a Tom Brady that seems like he is now should be making this his last season, as he threw several balls in the dirt that just looked like, were you trying to pull it back? Like, what were you doing? It was pretty bad, but nevertheless, it does give you a reason to be happy. And then Kevin McFarland here saying, my favorite player is Bradley Bozeman. He's amazing in his blocking and command of the offense. I think Bradley Bozeman had himself a heck of a game statistically.
And this was his first game starting, too, for the injured Pat Elflein.
I got to get this back on earpiece 6. You guys probably see me adjusting this thing every 2 seconds. Bradley Bozeman in week 7, according to Pro Football Focus, 93.2 grade, has the best single week grade among all NFL centers this season.
Wow.
So Kevin saying that Bradley is amazing. Yeah, according to Pro Football Focus, he just had the best rating for a center this season. And he did it this week to help give us a W. So that is certainly something to say, well, maybe we might win a few more than one game, right?
And he was one of those off-season acquisitions, too, from Baltimore. So to have him come in and to fill in and do as well as he did yesterday, it really shows you why they brought him in. And, it's one of those situations where, you brought him in for a reason. And yesterday was just an example of why he is here to play for us because of how well he played for not only himself, but for the rest of the O-line as well. Chance Hines, the heart we showed was awesome. I guess in reference to the whole team and how they played yesterday. Vo, what are we going to do at quarterback if we play ourselves out of a top 5 pick? Shaking my head. Well, I know for this week, I can only speak for this week. I ain't trying to tell the future. That's too far down the road right now, at this point at least. We do know that P.J. Walker, from Coach and what he said today, his intention is to move forward with P.J. Walker as the starting quarterback, at least for this week, just based off of how he played yesterday. And then also with the uncertainty of Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, there's still, room to see how far along they are in their injury and getting off of IR. So there's still a lot of uncertainty with those two guys. So for right now, it's P.J. Walker until further notice, I guess.
Yeah, and in that regard, it seems like Baker is further back than Sam is. It seems like Sam is actually healthier right now. As Sam was practicing pretty much all of last week, and Baker was limited and did not practice for some of the week. So I'll come back to that one some more, maybe once we get Mike on the show. But let's keep rolling.
Yeah.
Hey, this is a personal one for me. I love to see Brandon Pope and his family. Been very long supporters of Charlotte Vibe. Have met him and his family, taking pictures. And he knows the family very well. So he says, how are the kids? And the kids, did you say that because you can hear one of them?
I could definitely hear one of them right now.
So the kids are doing well. I can tell you a little bit more detail, but we had a doctor's appointment today. And Andre, I got to tell you.
Yeah.
On my phone, it has like little diagrams about what time things are. So I thought it was like, wife's like, what time is it? It's at 9 o'clock. We get to the doctor at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, sir, it was at 8:40.
Oh,
man.
no.
And so we sat there and said, "We'll have a seat. We'll see if we can get to you." And 20 minutes later, they said they couldn't. I was like, "Hey, I'm not going to get too mad because I was late, but you didn't have to wait 20 minutes to tell me that you still can't see me today because now I'm a little bit upset." But the kids are good, man. Yeah, we got the youngest is now 13 months. The middle is 10 years, and he's doing good in school. Got a fundraiser this week, and just we're doing pretty well. Thanks for asking. And the oldest one, man, he's
he's doing his thing, right?
He's doing his thing, continuing to make me a grandfather and another grandfather. What's up, Chandler? In case you watch, I love you, sir.
Right.
Let's see. Let's keep on going. Trill saying, what's going on? Andre Chris, don't we love Victory Mondays? I got a Victory Monday shirt that I was supposed to wear, but didn't get a chance to put it on. Have you ever seen my Victory Monday shirts, Andre?
I don't think I have, actually.
Yeah, it was last year. I was, we're independent media, as you guys know, and to help, get some revenue, I was making shirts and selling shirts, but it came too much to make shirts, sell shirts, get them, put it online, and do everything else as one person. So I stopped. Right. I made a nice shirt that was a Victory Monday shirt. And yeah.
Maybe you'll have to break it out next week when we beat Atlanta.
Might have to bring it back.
Gotta rep it, man. That's for sure.
Look at this. I knew this was coming.
And he was all over Twitter yesterday talking about that too. I remember seeing a comment that he had about the whole Halloween party that he was talking about. Spider-Man is not going to the Halloween party. I guess he was talking about that link that he was posting on Twitter.
Shaq posted?
I think he replied to one of the tweets under, I think, Nikki Bosman about that. I can't recall, but I know he said he referred to something about that yesterday evening because I know he brought it up. Because when we said something about Brian Burns being on here today, he said something about him being at that party, whatever the case may be with that.
Oh, I see the link now. VIP admission is sold out. Maybe we should go crash it as members of the media, Andre.
Hey, I mean, we have our credentials, right? That's all we need.
Yeah, and maybe we could go live. We'll crash the party live.
Yes, do a live stream outside. We got our computer stands, man. That's really all we need. Maybe some lights. But we got to be low key though. Like if we were to do that, we got to be like low key and then quick. If we were to get caught, hey, you guys aren't supposed to be over here. Yada yada yada. Yeah, we're like the Charlotte version of TMZ.
Yeah,
that's what we'd call that.
Something like that.
We got the color scheme right. Got the red, black, and white.
Yeah, we got it. I like this one.
Oh, man, Brian Burns having a makeover today. I mean, he did say something about watching some movies after the game yesterday, sitting back and relaxing after the performance that he had. I will say, if and when he decides to show up, I do have to ask him, like, how does it feel to finally sack not Brian Burns, Tom Brady? Because I know that was a big deal for him yesterday. And he did say, a good bit about, his performance. And, there was a couple of interviews that he had with a couple of the reporters. But it was a big day for him yesterday and a big step towards cementing himself as one of those key players and those key performers key performances that you want to see out of guys like Brian Burns, because he's a big part of what we do defensively.
Mm-hmm. What's this guy saying? I'm going to skip over that one. Just Chris, you got to get to the locker room faster. Cass can start the post game and you can come in.
Hey, these game days, there's always like 10 things going on at the same time. So a lot of it is just spur of the moment kind of things. And of course, we got to get set up and everything. So, the logistical side of it, we plan as much as we can. But, when it's spur of the moment kind of things that pop up, you kind of just have to react to the situation. So, we'll take your word of advice. Hopefully, we'll see. But we can't make any promises because, we're always on the go as well during these game days.
Yeah, and so if I had went straight to the locker room yesterday, I wouldn't have had a chance to ask Wilkes the question about not kicking the field goal. When I got a chance to ask PJ Walker about earning the ability to start. And so, each time I weigh, do I need to talk to the coach? Do I need to talk to the quarterback? Yesterday, I felt like I needed to. And then I still even walked out early on PJ. I kind of tiptoed out of there to get into the locker room, and I still didn't make it. So, hey.
Everybody was gone by then. You thought you were jumping the gun. And then when you got over there, it's like, man, where did everybody go? Everybody slipped out on me.
You're just like, hey, what's up? Hey, you're just saying what's up to guys as they walk out. So
pretty much. But you did get a pretty cool souvenir, though, I will say.
Hey.
That's all I will say. That's all I will say.
Justin Quick says, "What's up, guys?"
Going on, Justin. Hope you're doing well today. Donald Duck, a regular. No way. Can't wait for Brian Spider-Man Burns. Well, you might have to wait longer. We'll see. Of course, he's got a busy schedule on his end, but we'll see if he makes it or not. Jeremy Burns, we're winning the NFC South, not the NFL South. It's NFC South, but
you can have a typo.
Hey, we'll let it slide, right? But somebody did mention this. I don't know if this was today or yesterday. Doesn't this kind of feel like 2014 in terms of the way the division is going so far with all of the teams in the NFC South with a below 500 record?
Was that the year that a losing record allowed us to make it?
Yeah, we were 7-8-1 in 2014, and that record won us the division somehow, some way. We went and we won 4 straight games. I think in the final month of the season, we were like 3-8-1 at one point, and then we pulled it out at the very end. So I mean, a lot of people are correlating that to what we're seeing right now as potentially a rally for hopefully some better things to come here.
Better things to come. So, I apologize about the missing person, but we're about to bring on Mike Kaye from the Charlotte Observer. Mike, if you can give me a head nod or a thumbs up or something like that. All right, he's nodding his head.
All right.
We're going to go ahead and hit the magic button, and hopefully Mike is going to come in here. There he is.
What's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going?
You look well rested.
I'm doing my best. I mean, it's been kind of a whirlwind the last 4 weeks.
So, hey, appreciate you joining us. So, Mike, I'm just going to let you know. So, before you, Brian Burns was supposed to be on. He didn't make it. We're still going to be nice to him. Hopefully, he'll come back on. But we're letting people know that Mike Kaye, new beat writer for the Charlotte Observer, has joined us. Mike, how are you doing today?
I'm well. I think it's been an interesting 24 hours for this franchise. Well, really an interesting
whole week, the past week.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had a normal day on the beat, I think, since I started. I started in week 4, and it's just been, one other thing after the next. So it's been an interesting month.
Okay. Well, hey, welcome here. So what this show's all about, it's a very casual show where it's dedicated towards us interacting with the fans. And you as our special guest tonight, we kind of tend to give you the ball the most. We'll let you take the most comments as we just take some fan questions. And also, I'll go ahead and say at this point, because Andre spoke about it, I'm going to put the link out there. So we also invite you guys that are watching to come online and in person. You get to see us. Let us see you. Ask a question, say your name, and present the question. And then one of the three of us will tackle it. And so we do give preference, I should say, to those who come on the video link first. And if we don't get anybody on the video, then we'll go back to the comments. So I just put that link out there now for everybody to come in. And then, Mike, I'm going to toss you this one here that I had start from before you came on that I wanted to tackle. We had a question from Bo. He says, what are we going to do at quarterback if we play ourselves out of a top 5 pick? Shaking my head. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think you've got to look at the 2 second-round picks, right? And so those 2 second-round picks are like gold for this team. And I think I value second round picks when you have them in multiplicity as the ability to move around the board without hurting yourself. Now, a second round pick itself is not going to get you up the board if you're like 7 and you're trying to move to 3, but it gives you the flexibility to say, okay, if we trade 2 2s with our 7th overall pick, if you're the Panthers, let's say, then you feel good because you still have that 3rd, you still have those 4ths, you have the 5th, you have the 6th. I mean, you feel like you've got some ammunition. And I think what the Christian McCaffrey trade allowed the Panthers to do and Scott Fitterer to do is act as a GM with a full deck of cards, right? Like before this week, or excuse me, last week, they came in with 9 draft picks over the next 2 off seasons. Now they have 14, so they have the normal total. They're not all in the original spots, but if you're the Panthers, now you've got a full deck to play with. And I think those 2 second-round picks are going to be very crucial in how they maneuver the board moving forward. We know Scott Fitterer doesn't mind trading draft picks. That's an opportunity there. I also think it created an opportunity where you don't have to sell the farm and trade all these guys to fill out your draft sheet. And I think that's helpful too. I think, the Panthers are going to be looking for a rookie quarterback. That's just like the reality of the situation. I don't know if there's going to be anybody who comes out in free agency or from a trade standpoint is that Matthew Stafford, I mean, we're seeing it firsthand right now. Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan both imploding. Carson Wentz has done that now twice in 2 stops. Trading for a guy isn't always what it's cracked up to be. I mean, not everybody's going to hit free agency and be Kirk Cousins or Drew Brees. So I think from that perspective, it would be foolish thinking to think that a veteran is on its way. And frankly, it'd be foolish of the organization to not realize what's happened with Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, even
Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, look, I think when you look at this team, it's built on defense with a lot of young talent. And I know I'm rambling a little bit, but, it's built with defensive young talent. You need an offensive player, a quarterback, to go along with DJ Moore and kind of build up this team on offense. And I think Scott Fitterer will be, if he is around, will be very aggressive in trying to get that quarterback of the future and the present.
Yeah, and Mike, so have you heard about this Halloween party going on tonight? There wasn't no light out there.
It's like the talk of town right now.
The Bradley Bozeman charity thing in Fahrenheit? Yeah, of course.
Oh, Chris, that's where we got to go. We got to go to Fahrenheit. Got to crash the party.
That's actually the first place that Ellis Williams, my partner on the beat, that we first met. He's like, you've got to go to this place. And so we went and, we had the pizza there. It was terrific. The steak there was terrific. It was also very expensive.
Have you been before, Chris?
I've been in Charlotte since 2002. So been here for a while. And I finally went to Fahrenheit last year.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm a late bloomer.
Clearly.
So Mike, here's something that happens on our channel a lot. There's a lot of people that want to talk about Matt Corral, and there's been some comments here even tonight. Matt Corral, we need it. I forget the other one. We have some smart people in the chat finally saying that Golden Corral is the answer. What do you think about the future that he may or may not have with this organization and how they should handle him?
Well, I'll tell you this. I think that had he been healthy, he'd be the guy who's starting right now. Yep. Actually, no question. I feel very comfortable saying I think after the first 4 weeks, Matt Corral would have been the guy. They'd want to see what's there. He was in a weird spot anyway because you look at the money invested in Sam Darnold, you look at the trade invested in Baker Mayfield, you kind of had to see where those guys were before you gave him a shot. I like Corral's potential. I also think there's some lumps. I think, from the mental standpoint, I'm curious how he puts together an NFL playbook. Athletically, he's incredibly gifted. He can make every throw. It's just a matter of can he put it all together. And we've seen guys who, like Sam Darnold, are pretty gifted athletically and from a throwing standpoint. I'm not trying to compare Matt to him, but have not been able to kind of get that depth of vision as a quarterback, have not been able to see the field analytically. And I think that's something where I think Matt Corral is going to really benefit from taking mental reps this year. There's no way I go into a year saying, hey, this is the QB1, because you can't do that if you're Scott Fitterer. But I do think he's a guy who you say, look, let's do the Kenny Pickett thing. And I know that sounds bad, but CJ Stroud's better than Kenny Pickett, in my opinion. Bryce Perkins is better than Kenny Pickett. I think Will Levis is even probably better than Kenny Pickett. So let's say you draft one of those guys. You have a guy in Matt Corral who's been around to take mental reps with the game. He understands what it's like to be a pro. Cool. Challenge each other. If Matt Corral loses out, well, he was a third-round pick. What did you expect, right? So I think there's that. I think he gives you that intriguing, option B type player, but I think he's got an uphill battle if he wants to win a job next year or win a starting job next year. And maybe he does. Maybe you put him out there and he plays the first 3 games while this rookie gets ready. But that hasn't been historically the case over the last decade.
And I'm sure a lot of people out there will also go back to that Russell Wilson and Seattle comparison where maybe the Panthers aren't focused on him, but he's still on the roster, and say, hey, well, maybe if he just comes out and just blows the doors off of this thing and does exceptional, that he'll be forced to put his name in that contention for the quarterback. But I do feel like it's a little bit of an unfortunate situation for him personally that he got hurt. Basically, it's almost like a wasted year. He's not getting any reps. It's all mental. He looks so good mechanically, but we all know that you can look good in practice, you can look good in drills, but it doesn't matter once the whistle blows, you're between the lines and you're not able to execute, or God forbid, you see stuff like Sam Darnold says, you see ghosts out there. Oh. And then what are we going to do? That's, for me, like why I'm just not too excited to see Sam Darnold out there. Hey, Mike, a miscellaneous one for you here. This is the weirdest NFL season ever, maybe.
Oh, I did see that tweet that you had earlier.
Yeah, every year I say to myself, "Wow, didn't see that was coming." Didn't see the Giants being 6-1. Did not see Cooper Rush winning 3 straight games. Did not see the Chargers kind of falling flat. Did not see. Look, Nate Hackett's a guy who I covered in Jacksonville, I think very highly of, and he is just absolutely bombing his shot as a head coach. Russell Wilson looks shot. Like, I thought Matt Ryan was a great trade for the Colts, and I was clearly wrong. So it's just been a wild ride from my perspective.
And now he's being benched for Sam Ellinger of all people.
Ooh, tough beat, man. Tough beat. Yeah.
Oh, we got one specifically here for you. I don't know if you've run into this guy. He is a diehard Panthers fan.
He is a very vocal fan, too.
Shaquille Barr. He says, Mike, please tell us that both Shaq Thompson and C.J. Henderson get traded ASAP. I didn't think he was going to go there with the question. I thought he was going to go another direction, but that's Shaquille for you.
Yeah, Shaq Thompson's got a contract that I don't think is worth acquiring if you're another team. And you also have to consider too, Steve Wilkes and Al Holcomb have been around Shaq from the jump. They were with him as a rookie. He played under them when Al was a linebackers coach, and Wilkes coached the secondary, and then eventually the entire defense. And then they come back. He's been again with Al for the last 3 years as a run game coordinator, and now they're back together. And really, Al kind of serves as the conduit for Steve to the players, and Shaq serves as a conduit to Shaq for the rest of the defense. And I think there's value there. I just don't think he's a guy that somebody's rushing to acquire just because of his contract. Now, C.J. Henderson, I don't know how you sell that to another franchise. My thing is too is like, so you'll get stuff like, oh, please tell me they're going to trade so and so to so. Well, if you think they're bad, why do you think another team is going to think they're good? Like, you think like they can just pawn off Sam Darnold on somebody?
You think Jacksonville was in that position last year when they made that trade with us?
Oh man, I mean, look, I think Jacksonville was a rough spot for CJ from a coaching standpoint. Nobody really was successful there, and I think the Panthers took a worthwhile look because they really did want him in the first round the year that he came out. So, I mean, for CJ, I can tell that Steve Wilkes really likes him. I think he's going to be patient with him, but I don't see how this turns out to be a terrific, investment. Then again, he probably shouldn't be starting. He's probably better off as like a dime nickel option. And Miles Hartsfield's playing very, very well. I've been really impressed by him the last 2 games. And then when JC Horn comes back, maybe there's some movement there. I think if you're looking for guys who could potentially be moved, Dante Jackson to me just makes a lot of sense because I think you could probably get a 3rd-round pick for him. He's got a ton of starting experience. His contract's palatable from a dead money perspective, as well as sneaking into a team's salary cap as well. A 3rd, 4th-round pick doesn't seem like out of the question. If they really like CJ, which I think they do, I think they might feel comfortable with him being the guy opposite JC Horn. It depends on what you think there, right? And I think Marquise Haynes makes a lot of sense as a rotational end. Henry Anderson's another guy who can make sense as a rotational end for a contender. Typically, teams that go heavily into the playoffs are teams that have a really good pass rushing rotation. Not necessarily that one ace pass rusher, Brian Burns, but a team that has like an assortment of pass rushers. Like Andy Reid used to call them fastballs that you can throw in an offense. And I think those guys make sense. On offense, I don't really see anybody being moved outside of maybe Cam Irving, who I do know that there have been. Oh, wow. As we're talking right now, Ian Rappaport is reporting that James Robinson has been traded to the Jets from the Jaguars.
Wow.
Tough beat, man, from the guy who I used to cover. I do think James Robinson's a very talented player. I also think he's limited on passing down, so it's interesting. Doug Peterson's a guy who really focuses on 3-down running backs. Think Christian McCaffrey, obviously. Think Miles Sanders. Think Jerick McKinnon's probably like the smaller end of that.
Evan Coleman too for San Francisco.
Yeah, and so look, I think we're going to see some trades like this over the next couple of days, and I don't know how. Oh, yeah, we're talking about Cam Irving, right? Cam Irving has received some interest as a swing tackle. There are teams that have had offensive tackle injuries. I know that there have been discussions about him. Dante Jackson's a guy that some teams like. I don't know if he's necessarily going to be viewed as a guy who's anything other than potentially an injury replacement. He's got a long-term contract, so you've got to figure out where he fits into the system probably long-term. But yeah, Dante Jackson, Marquise Haynes, and Cam Irving are really the 3 guys that I would pay attention to. I don't think Brian Burns will be moved. I don't really think Shaq Thompson will be moved just because of his contract. But really, I don't see Chin being moved. He's injured. I don't think he'll be activated until past the deadline anyway.
DJ Moore's another guy, too, that they were saying that could be potentially traded as well. But I think we're well past that point after yesterday.
So I'm going to go through, hit a few comments, and then Mike, so Andre, I'll let you ask Mike a few questions, but we'd like to give a lot of love to everybody that signs on. So I'm just going to run through a few really quick. Panther pick, and by the way, I think you guys are being shy that Mike's on. Usually we have people that are in queue coming on the show asking questions, and we haven't had anybody. Mike's a nice guy, but
yikes, man.
You guys got about 10 minutes or so to jump on and ask a question. But Panther Pickle says currently the Bucs and Falcons are 3-4. Panthers and Saints are 2-5. So because we already beat Saints, man, this is a long one. The Ravens beat the Bucs Thursday.
It's a loaded.
All right, so basically, Panther Pickle is excited that we have a chance to move up in the division. And I think there's a few other comments that I want to hit on really, really quickly. Sorry, Bob, was trying to help. Don't start. All right, here we go. We got a super chat, which is always something we got to take a moment out and thank people for their donations and contributions to the show. So Michael Boynton, always doing it for each week, a little $5. Hey, anytime that you guys have the ability to do that, I want to show some extra love towards the support. Andre and I here at Charlotte Vibe. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, shout out to Michael for doing that. That's really nice of him. He's been doing that the past 3 weeks, so got to show him some love.
Definitely. And then I'm trying to scroll through this because we've got a bunch that piled up on us.
Yeah.
We can't draft dudes in their mid-20s. I don't know what that comment is from. And then let me go ahead and throw it over to you, Andre, if you want to ask Mike something.
Yeah, so let me just say, based off of yesterday's performance, really just moving forward, Mike, do you think this is sustainable? Do you think this is something that moving forward for the team, this is something that they can continue to build upon as we start to move really into really a key moment for the team's season?
Yeah, I think especially within the division, this division's wide open, as your previous commenter said. I mean, to recap, if the Bucs lose this Thursday and the Panthers beat the Falcons, they lead the division via tiebreakers. So we're already seeing it with their draft projection. They went from possessing the first overall pick to now being third. So I think this team wants to play hard for Steve Wilks. I think they really like him. He seems to be like the antithetical choice to Matt Rule. And so I think they're going to play hard. I mean, they're going to continue to play hard. There's a lot of these guys on defense who, luckily Wilks is coming from the strength of the team, right? So the good players all want to play hard for him. So, and I think this offensive line with Bradley Bozeman now at center has a little bit more tenacity. I really like the way that Deontay Foreman runs. When you can run the ball effectively in this division, I think you win more than you lose. And I liked their strategy. I thought that they played very well on defense. I like how much they tried to play bully ball in the second half. That was important. And so I think, this is a situation where if you're the Panthers, you look at the tape and you say, okay, this is how we win. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. I don't know if they're going to win the division, but if they can, finish, 6-11 or 7-10, and you're David Tepper and you want to get over the hump, that's kind of what he described. And maybe give Steve Wilks a long-term audition.
Hey, let me interrupt you guys just for a quick second. They're telling me that I put out the wrong link for them to join. So they're saying it's my fault that nobody could join.
Man, they're harsh on you. Yeah. Good grief.
It wasn't me. Why are you going to put it on me?
So
blame it on the new guy. I'll take some of the blame. Jeez.
I just put
Andre, come on.
Who's the Andre guy?
I just put the link back out there. So I guess if you were trying to get on the show and it didn't work, please go ahead right now, try to click on that link and join us to ask any one of us a question. But, whenever we have a guest, we like to give them the ball first to entertain and respond to questions that may be out there. So my apologies.
Hey, at least he admits his faults. But let me just piggyback off of what you said too, Mike, with the whole Steve Wilks situation. Of course, with the offense being a little shaky this season, he's more of a defensive guy. How much do you think that's going to factor into what they decide to do moving forward at that head coaching spot? Do you think they go offense, defense? What do you think that's going to go, and how that's going to be like for them?
Well, if it's not Steve, I do think they go in the offensive direction. I think they'll look for a young hotshot. People that want Sean Payton should not hold their breath. I think the three guys, if you're looking for a young offensive mind, would be Shane Steichen for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's the play caller and offensive coordinator for Philly. They're obviously 6-0 and in the bye week. I would say that Kellen Moore would be another guy I would look into. He was a quarterback in the league. He's a guy who made Cooper Rush look really good despite being pretty pedestrian as a player. And then I think the biggest guy to go after would be Byron Leftwich. He's familiar with the division. He's played with Pro Bowl quarterbacks. He's coached Pro Bowl quarterbacks. He's worked with Tom Brady. He's worked with, Ben Roethlisberger. I think he's gotten the most out of Blaine Gabbert that anyone's been able to. So I think those are the three guys. You want a guy kind of like Doug Peterson who has been an NFL lifer in a lot of ways and can really connect with a professional athlete. I think that was Matt Rule's problem. Matt ran the organization largely like a college program, and I think, you need somebody who's been nurtured by the NFL way to really replace him. But you also need somebody who is creative offensively, who can scheme well, and frankly, somebody who knows what they're doing. I mean, I think
What did you just say, Mike?
who knows what they're doing. And look, you can't like earmark who's going to be great. But I think when you look at somebody like Byron Leftwich, who's worked under Bruce Arians, who's worked under Todd Bowles, who's been a player under several different head coaches. You look at Kellen Moore, who has worked under Mike McCarthy and the Clapper, Jason Garrett, who
is on NBC now,
and Jim Caldwell, who I mean, like you take in information from all these guys. I think that's important. Shane Steichen has worked under plenty of coaches too. I think you have to find somebody who knows not only what an NFL offense looks like, but knows what an NFL team that can win looks like. And I think that's very important. Those are two categories really to check off. Like there's been a lot of talk about Ben Johnson, and he's terrific, but I also kind of wonder if it's maybe a year or two too early for him. Another guy who's interesting to me is Shane Waldron out in Seattle. He's done an incredible job with Geno Smith. Seems like a really sharp play caller in his early 40s. Can be a difference maker. Has a connection, at least through osmosis to Scott Fitterer, to Dan Morgan. There's connective tissue there, and I think that could be very interesting.
All right, so we do have someone waiting in the queue. Chad Howe, I think you made a comment earlier about not being able to get on. We have a couple of minutes, so if you can, Chad, somehow get on really quickly, we'd love to have you. But meanwhile, we're going to throw it over to a faithful guy that comes on, Panther Pickle. How you doing?
Hey guys,
weekly thing with him.
With all due respect, I'm not a big fan of Brian Leftwich. I'm
Okay.
just not. I think he's right now. There's a lot of adversity with the Bucs. I don't see the offensive going in the right direction. And I still have questions of who runs it, Bruce Arians, Brian Leftwich, or Tom Brady. But that nonetheless, I do like the Philadelphia offensive coordinator, though. I can't pronounce his name, but I like him quite a bit. So, I'm a big defensive guy. I'd hire Wilkes, I'd be good with that too. But my question is, I'm a big fan of Cade Mays. Of course, I'm a Tennessee fan, so shout out to Tennessee. But I'm a Tennessee fan, so Cade Mays. Do you think we're going to see him in the lineup anytime, even just as a backup, maybe?
Hey, before he answers it, I will say this: he's going to be on the show, so you will see him here.
Well, hey, that's good. That's good. Ask him if he's been watching Tennessee and if he thinks Hendon Hooker would be a good NFL quarterback.
Ooh.
Faith Panther Pickle.
So to take Pickle's thing, well, he was dressed for the first time in his career. He played 3 special team snaps yesterday. That said, Bradley Bozeman's been kind of a mentor to him throughout this entire process. He's been playing mostly right tackle in practice, but has now played a lot more guard and center this past week, obviously now being the main fill-in in case Bozeman or one of the guards goes down. I think long-term, if you're looking for him to get into the lineup, it'll be interesting to see how they view the tackles moving forward. I could see Tyler Mawton being moved potentially based on who the next head coach is. Maybe he gets looked at right tackle. Bozeman's on a 1-year deal. I could see it where he's just a 1-year rental and then Mays gets in there. But he's a guy I do think they think very highly of. Like Bozeman, he's a former 6th-round pick. He's a 6th-round pick who kind of has to work his way up. And I think he's a guy that, they just paid Austin Colbert pretty good money. Brady Christensen's settling in pretty well at guard. His only real avenue would be center and right tackle, in my opinion.
All right. And then we got another comment here that I want to go to. And Mike, you're certainly getting people to talk amongst themselves in the comments here. They like all of your trade deep analysis that I certainly can't offer. I don't even pretend to offer stuff that I know I don't have the expertise on. So we're going to try to squeeze in. We're 7:57, so we're going to squeeze in.
Right?
Yeah, well, we'll balance it out. AJ Lindsay, I believe, give me a little thumbs up. Let me know that you're ready. And there we go. Here's a thumbs up. So come on in and state your question for us. Thank you. I think it's your first time coming on.
It is my first time coming on, guys. Thank you for having me on here.
Come on in and state your question for us. So I think, AJ, you might have on a little feedback.
Yeah, I think I got that cleared up. Sorry about that, guys. So my question is, I know you were talking about Byron Leftwich, and I know some people were thinking about Eric Bieniemy, but what about Ken Dorsey? I mean, the offensive coordinator up in Buffalo, former Panthers quarterback coach. He's been in the Carolina Panthers family for a long time. Why aren't people bringing his name up as being a potential head coaching candidate?
Did you see his reaction?
AJ.
Did you see his reaction to a couple of weeks ago in the press box?
Oh yes, I remember seeing that. He did not look happy.
I like that passion, but you also remember you're constantly being evaluated as a potential candidate, right? And I think he's a guy who kind of needs to mature in the role. He's only been the play caller for 6 or 7 games now. So I think David Tepper needs to be very deliberate with how he looks at these folks. I do think Ken Dorsey will end up being a very good head coach. I thought it when he was a player too. He was very astute as a backup quarterback in the league, and he had many travels. That said, I just don't. Carolina's in this weird spot, and I've noticed this being as somebody who's just new to the area. The area really loves its tradition and its past players. I think I'm going to start doing a thing where it's like former Panthers around the league, where I'll just name all of them and where they are. I used to do that with the Eagles, and I do appreciate that passion because I'm a nostalgia guy myself.
Mike, it's not a necessity. When the present isn't good, you have to keep going back to the past. I mean,
haven't you heard? There's no history of winning culture here. But
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, but so my point is, eventually you have to kind of be creative here. It can't just be about who you know, right? It's got to be about general, okay. So, for instance, when you're looking for the best candidate, is the best candidate always the person you know? Sometimes you got to do some digging, right? And I think, sometimes you look at the Eagles, I just based on their history, right? So throughout Jeffrey Lurie's tenure as an owner, I believe every single person he's ever hired has had at least 2 winning seasons. Ray Rhodes, Andy Reid obviously had a ton of them. Chip Kelly, Doug Peterson, and Nick Sirianni's on his way for number 2 in a row. So I think, then you look at the Steelers. The Steelers have done a really good job of keeping longevity with their GMs and their head coaches. If I'm Tepper, I'm interviewing the crap out of those two sets of ownership groups because they have the proper cooking. They know what they're looking for. You don't want to be a team like the Jaguars. You don't want to be a team like the Dolphins, who's constantly looking for a new head coach. The Jets are the same way. I just think when we look at the Panthers in general, first off, you're not going to be the most appealing, date at the dance. You're just not. That's just the reality of the situation. You're not New York. You're not LA, Philadelphia. You're not like a major market. You also don't have an owner who has a proven track record. And I think that should worry a lot of candidates. You also don't have a great you have an okay roster. And there's some really great pieces, but you don't have a great roster. And I think this team is more than just a new head coach away. I can't emphasize that enough. I think their offensive line's solid. I think DJ Moore is very good. They're probably another wide receiver, a quarterback, a head coach, an improvement at least one of the tackle positions, and probably another edge rusher away.
And that's a list right there.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, but that's the thing. You have to find somebody who can grow with your team. And again, Jeffrey Lurie hired Nick Sirianni, who was a young head coach. A lot of people didn't know who he was, but he fit the locker room. He fit the city, and he was able to mature with that group. And I think if you're looking for a Ron Rivera type who is a former player, who's weathered the storm, who's done all that stuff, that's fine, but you don't need to fit a specific archetype. You just have to find somebody who can relate to professional players, who can call plays, or if he can't call plays, can find people who has a good eye for talent in the coaching realm. And I think you have to marry your GM to your head coach, whether that means moving on from Fitterer or having Fitterer be a very large key in the process of finding this new head coach.
Yeah, and so Fitterer did mention that he sees he's going to have some kind of role in that. So we'll see exactly what that looks like. And Tepper, he's mentioned that he has sat down with some other owners. So Mike, that's, I guess Tepper's listening to you here. He's also reading you and Scott to know what he should be doing, right? So he's doing that. I'm going to just throw one more. We're over time, but if you could, Mike, just give us 30 seconds on this one and we'll let you go. Jared Barringer says, why isn't Luke somehow part of the coaching staff? Not interested or not asked to be part of it? I certainly have a chime in, but Mike, I'm going to let you.
That's a good one right
if you
there.
want.
I think Steve Wilkes would love to have him as part of the staff. I just think there's other opportunity. Here's the thing, and
Luke's over it, man.
Well, I think the thing is like this. So being an assistant coach in the NFL is a grueling process. People don't realize how grueling scouting is, or film work, or any of that stuff. Like, it is not a desirable 9-to-5 gig. This is a drag out thing, and you're making like a fraction of what you made as a player, right? So, like, let's say Luke made $7 million a year. He's going to go from making $7 million a year to, $100,000, $200,000 a year to a job that's actually a lot more detail oriented, right? And that's part of the issue with players not getting back into coaching. Normally, you see quarterbacks get into it more because they like that analytical process, or offensive linemen because they love that camaraderie, right? And that takes over the money. You're set for life. Now you're doing what you want to do. I think something that's been really hard to cultivate in talking to other people around the league is guys who are willing to sacrifice when they don't necessarily need to. There are a lot of great former NFL players in the league who are coaching right now. Deuce Staley, Keenan McCardell, D'Amico Ryans. He would, if you wanted to look for defense pickle, I would say D'Amico Ryans would be that. He, in my opinion, will be the top first-time head coaching candidate in the league. He's who I would hire if I were David Tepper, but I'm not David Tepper, so it's probably not going to be him. But I think like that's like what's become such a weird situation. It's like most coaches come from the college game. They were college players. They weren't pro players. And most of the head coaches in the NFL now weren't starting quarterbacks. They were backups. Look at Frank Reich. Look at, look at Cliff Kingsbury. Look at, we brought up
the OC in Dallas.
Jason Garrett was a backup quarterback. So it's one of those things where I think Kevin O'Connell, I think that's what you have to kind of look at with players. Luke Kuechly's made enough money to not have to do anything ever, but being in the media is a pretty cushy job if you're not me. Or one of us, I guess, one of the three.
Right. Hey, Mike, I appreciate it very much. So everybody watching, this is Mike Kaye of the Charlotte Observer. He's been here about a month now. Is that right?
Yeah,
so,
tomorrow or 2 days from now, I guess, Wednesday.
Show him some love.
Follow him on Twitter.
Get a subscription to the Charlotte Observer. Read more of his content. Mm-hmm. And Mike, I appreciate you on short notice being able to come in on the show. You did great. So long season. May have an opportunity to bring you back. So you're welcome to come back anytime. All right.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, for having me. Have a good one.
Hey, go Phillies, I guess.
All right. So that was pretty fun. Did not go as fully as expected. We had Burns did not show up, but I promise you we'll follow up with that. And I got
it was still a good time, though. It was a great time.
We actually went over, and my son's screaming. I don't know if he's like, "Dad, you're over your hour," but I got a feeling that Burns may make us do a special show before the end of the week. Which, hey, we'll do what we got to do because I love making sure that you guys know that I put a lot of time, Andre as well, into making these shows. So when something doesn't happen that we said it's going to happen, just know it's out of our control.
Yeah.
Andre, any closing? We can make it pretty quick because I definitely got to get out of here.
Yeah, so a good week. It was a crazy week the past week with Carolina, and then they were able to pull out a pretty resounding victory yesterday So we'll see how this week goes, see how they build off on that. And, really we'll be here to cover it. Chris and I will be door to door, making sure that we have our opportunity to get you guys the coverage that all of you deserve. So thank you for giving us the privilege every single day to allow us to cover your Carolina Panthers, because it's what we do. And we want to make sure that all of you have the opportunity to have your voices heard. So definitely continue to follow us, give us a like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you got to do, because that helps us out and making sure that we continue to have the privilege to cover our team, the Carolina Panthers.
Hey, very well said. So I'm signing off for Andre Cassidy. I'm Chris Jenkins for Charlotte Vibe. See you next time.
See ya.